What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into this episode. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to react to um this show Nightcap, and they had Jalen Brunson on, man, and they spoke about his run in the NBA to the finals and everything, right? And how big that was for New York and not just the NBA, right? I gotta admit, I didn't think that Jalen Brunson, being a guard, I think Jalen Brunson like 6 foot, 6'1" or something like that. He around like 6'1", not a big guard, but I didn't think that, Jalen Brunson would be able to lead his team to a championship, right? And they did it, and so that's what's it was good. I found that series to be a very good series. I like the style of play. um and I thought it was good for the NBA for the Knicks to finally win one. It was a lot of hype and a lot of drama around it, man. Like I said, it was a lot of excitement around it, not just hype, but a lot of excitement around it. Knicks fans, and I'm not even really a Knicks fan, but like I said, once I seen the Knicks go in there and what they did to Victor Wembanyama and Harper and Castle and all those guys, man, I was like, it was a good series. At least for Knicks fans and for basketball fans in general. I don't Spurs fans, I know that they didn't really they looking for some get back, next year, but it was a good series in my opinion. I was wrong. You know what? Because what the young lady named Becky Hammond said that he's not that dude. Now I wasn't gonna go as far as to say he's not that dude, but I always say that small guards, man, just have a tougher time when it comes to leading their team to championships. And they're more so the exception than the rule, like Isaiah Thomas was a guy who led his team to a championship. And I think Isaiah Thomas is around the same height, around 6'1". I don't really count Steph Curry because I think Steph Curry is like around about 6'3", something like that. But yeah, I mean, if you want to, you could throw Steph Curry into that mix, right? So Shannon Sharpe, Joe Johnson was talking to they spoke about the championship with Jalen Brunson. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the audio from that. Then I'm gonna come back. I might interrupt throughout the throughout the audio, but right now I'm just gonna play the audio and then react.
Magical 26 for you. NBA Cup MVP, Eastern Conference MVP, NBA Finals MVP. In your wildest imaginations, in your dreams, could you have dreamed 2026 would have been any better than what it turned out being?
In all honesty, no. But I'll say this: like, you'd be surprised of what could happen when you focus on the little things. Like if you just focus on just getting better every single day, trusting your work, trusting your habits. Even when things don't go your way, just continue to trust it and trust it. I always felt the need to get better, and regardless of what role I was in, obviously. Thank you, appreciate it. No matter what role I was in, like in Dallas, I was playing behind Luka, but I just accepted that role and just kept getting better, just working to be the best I can be. And then once I got to New York, my role changed a little bit. But I was already working for that. It was something I was comfortable in. So once the opportunity came about, I just kept working, and you just never know when you're going to break through something like that.
Bro, I'm just gonna go. Hey, Joe and I, we were talking. Down 29 points. And Joe, I remember Joe texted me like, man, this is gonna be a 7-game series. And then you guys cut it to 16. When did you realize, honestly, that you guys had a chance to win that ball game being down 29?
I think honestly the beginning of the fourth.
Beginning of the fourth.
So we went the halftime, and obviously there really wasn't much that was to be said. Usually we watched a little bit of film. Yeah, Mike didn't really.
You didn't want to watch that horror movie.
Mike didn't really want to watch it, but Mike.
Let me say this about that 29-point comeback, because that shocked me too, right? And not only did it shock me, but on one hand it did, because when you think about like today's NBA teams continuously shoot those 3-pointers and then miss those 3-pointers, then you come down and you hit a 2-pointer, or sometimes you might even get an easy basket, because 3-pointers lead to long rebounds, and long rebounds lead to easy baskets at the other end, right? So that was some of what happened too. But even with that being said, man, I left the house and went to work. And then when I got to work, I was starting work that night, and somebody said, a New York Knicks fan came to me and said, yeah, we won that game. And I thought he was joking, man. But I was like, get out of here. Once I seen that they came back from 29 points down, I was like, oh, wow. They are in control of this. They have, it's one thing to fight back, you know what I mean, and just to make a good showing. But when you come back on somebody from 29 points down, that means that you seen something, something, and so they executed and came down the stretch. So I knew that it wasn't going to go 7 after that.
But yeah, we just kept saying, just keep cutting it down, cut it to 15 by the fourth. It was 90-75 with 12 minutes to go, and we just kept cutting it, chipping away, and just found a way.
Man, y'all had such a magical run in the postseason. What was the biggest adjustment, I would say, from the regular season to the playoffs?
The biggest adjustment. I think for us, just refocusing after being down 2-1 to Atlanta. I think we went in, we won game 1. We didn't play the way we wanted to. We didn't finish the game we wanted to. And then obviously that caught up to us in games 2 and 3. But being able to refocus and find a way to honestly turn the page and honestly put all of our egos aside. Like we were just like, yo, whatever we gotta do to win, let's do it. I don't really care what personally we got going on, what vendettas we have, what agendas we're trying to get through, but let's find a way to win. And I think game 4, after we did that, we're like, all right, let's build off this, and we kept building.
All right, so they said that, and it's important, because do whatever it takes to win. Put your ego to the side, and just do what it takes to win. A lot of superstars would not have been able to, to make that adjustment, because you see players like this all the time, and that's why they when they find themselves in this type of position, they can't make that adjustment mentally in order and put their ego to the side in order to have the type of success that the Knicks just had. And so, and you could see it, you could see it, like, I didn't feel like at any time watching the Knicks that like Brunson was like forcing the action. I didn't, or taking bad shots or putting his team in a bad position. So I believe every word that he's saying.
In building, and then rattle off like 13 straight.
Hey, one more. We talk about late game closers, and in the fourth quarter of probably every series that y'all had in the postseason, under 5 minutes. What was your thought process, bro? Even if y'all were down by 15 or 20, it seems as though you always came through in the clutch. Like, what are you telling yourself in those moments?
All right, so before you even answer that question, right, I just think, like I said, that they saw something. They knew that they had an advantage over the Spurs, and they saw a chink in the armor where as though they knew and they felt confident that they could exploit some of those matchups that they had.
One thing my dad always taught me is just never be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And so just having the mindset of whatever happens in these moments, it's going to happen, and you're going to learn from it. And even if it goes successfully, you're still going to learn from it. There's something you can always learn from. But I found the way to be comfortable in the situations. I learned in plenty of situations where I failed. and I've learned from them, and I've gotten better. But I feel comfortable. I found the way to just kind of keep my mind at a good spot in those moments when people call it pressure. I feel comfortable in those moments.
And see that right there is a place where most basketball players don't get to that level, like feeling comfortable in those like when you're down or in those tight situations, just feeling comfortable, man. And I think those that right there, when like that's good for fans too to see, you know, to witness something like that, and you can just tell when they're down, they didn't look like they was uncomfortable. You know, it just looked like they stuck to the script. So you talking about great coaching from Mike Brown, and then you talk about great leadership from Jalen Brunson, man. And so, like I said, the series, you know, to me, it just brought excitement back to basketball. I thought it was an entertaining series, and I was surprised that New York played the way they did in these playoffs. And as the playoffs just went on and on, I was like, okay, I'm kind of I'm liking what I'm seeing out of New York, you know, throughout these playoffs, man. And it was not just Jalen Brunson, man. It was Hart, Mobley, Anunoby, you know, and all those guys, man. So it was a good series, man. So yeah, he deserves his flowers, man. I gotta give him his props because, like I said, I didn't think that somebody, a guard 6'1", could lead a team to a championship, you know. But he did, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do if they can build on it next year. But like if they don't do it next year, it won't be like, you know what I mean, like this year was a fluke or nothing, because it definitely wasn't a fluke. You know, they did their thing. So that's all I got on it. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'm gonna check you all out in the next video. Peace.